Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up over the next 1 hour. A much-awaited day arrives with much relief and joy as peace returns to Gaza. Israel says the Hamas has returned all 20 surviving hostages. Donald Trump lands in Israel soon after he declares the war is over in Gaza. The US President set to address the Israeli Knesset shortly and meet the relatives of those who had been held captive. Trump will also be in Egypt, where he'll attend the Gaza summit along with 20 other world leaders. Minister of State External Affairs Kirti V Singh is representing India at the talks. Gaza stabilization, reconstruction are on agenda. Canada's Foreign Minister Anita Anand meets her Indian counterpart Dr. S. Jaishankar in Delhi during her India visit. The two leaders pledged to build upon extensive ties ranging from trade to tech. And India's bid to inflict an innings defeat upon the West Indies in the Kotla Test in Delhi to bag the series 2-0 comes a cropper as the guests take a lead in their second innings. First up, all 20 living Israeli hostages have been handed over to the International Committee of the Red Cross, or the ICRC, by the Hamas. The news has been published by Israel's public broadcaster. There were loud cheers in Hostage Square as the news of the release emerged. The Foreign Ministry of Israel has greeted the release of the hostages, saying, "Welcome home." The head of European diplomacy, Kaja Kallas, has welcomed the release by the Hamas, highlighting US President Donald Trump's role in this crucial milestone towards peace. The Hamas earlier released the names of the 20 living hostages being freed. They've been held in Gaza since the 7th of October attack in 2023. In exchange for these hostages, Israel will be releasing 1,966 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. And US President Donald Trump landed in Israel aboard Air Force One on Monday on this momentous day as the first group of Israeli hostages returned home from Gaza after 2 years of captivity. He is set to address the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, in a short while from now. There are reports that he's already reached there. The US leader was greeted on a red carpet at the Ben Gurion airport by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog. Earlier, Trump declared the war is over in Gaza, although the next phases in the Israeli-Hamas deal are still to be negotiated.
War is over. The war is over, okay? I think people are tired of it. It's been centuries, okay? Not just recent, it's been centuries. I think people are tired of it, yeah. I think people are going to behave. Everybody knows their place. It's going to be great for everybody. It's going to be great for the surrounding countries, Arab, Muslim, all of them. It's going to be great for Israel. Everybody is happy. And I think it's going to stay that way.
So a lot of confidence there from Donald Trump about things staying the way in the direction of the peace. And speaking in a televised address on Sunday evening, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he hoped the captives' release would be a moment of unity for the country, despite controversy over his handling of the conflict.
אזרחי ישראל, אחיי ואחיותיי, זהו ערב.
This is an emotional evening, an evening of tears, an evening of joy, because tomorrow our children will return to our borders. Tomorrow is the beginning of a new path, a path of rebuilding, a path of healing, and I hope a path of united hearts. We achieved tremendous victories, victories that amazed the whole world, and I want to tell you, wherever we fought, we won. But at the same time, I must tell you, the fight is not over. Very large security challenges still lie before us.
ואני מקווה שגם בתקופה שבפתח.
So as the ceasefire holds in Gaza, all eyes are now set on Egypt as it hosts an international peace summit in the Red Sea resort city of Sharm el-Sheikh on Monday. Leaders from more than 20 countries participating in the summit, co-chaired by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his American counterpart Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Israel has said it will not send any representative to the peace summit in Egypt. DD India's Dheeraj Das gets you more.
Egypt will host an international summit on Monday in the Red Sea resort city of Sharm el-Sheikh, aimed at finalizing a peace agreement to end the Gaza conflict. US President Donald Trump and his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will chair the peace summit, also to be attended by more than 20 world leaders. According to Egypt's presidential spokesperson, the peace summit will aim to end the war in the Gaza Strip, enhance efforts to achieve peace and stability in the Middle East, and usher in a new era of regional security and stability. On Sunday, the Egyptian Foreign Ministry said a document ending the war in the Gaza Strip was expected to be signed during the historic gathering. The summit was aimed at inaugurating a new chapter of peace and security and alleviating the suffering of the Palestinian people in Gaza. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said he would attend the summit. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, his Italian counterpart Giorgia Meloni, and Pedro Sanchez of Spain would also be present at the peace summit. French President Emmanuel Macron and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan will also travel to Sharm el-Sheikh. Jordan's King Abdullah II is also expected to attend the summit. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz also confirmed that he will attend the summit in Sharm el-Sheikh. The European Council will be represented by its President Antonio Costa. India will be represented by Minister of State for External Affairs Kirti V Singh in the summit. But there was no immediate word on whether Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu would participate, while Hamas has said it will not take part in the summit. Prior to the peace summit in Egypt, US President Donald Trump will be in Israel on Monday morning and address the Knesset. He is also expected to meet with the families of the hostages. Billboards and banners thanking Trump filled the streets and squares in Tel Aviv ahead of his summit, when hostages held by Hamas for over 2 years are expected to be released under a US brokered deal.
We are on the cusp of true peace in the Middle East, really for the first time in my lifetime. Certainly, these 20 hostages are going to come home to their families, George. I think this is a great moment for our country. Our country should be proud of our diplomats who made this happen. It's really a great moment for the world, too, which is why the president's going to go over there and celebrate with these hostages. But it's a great thing, and I'm very excited about it.
The high-level gathering comes as Washington pushes for an agreement brokered by the United States to formally end months of conflict between Israel and Hamas, following a series of temporary ceasefires and humanitarian negotiations. The Sharm el-Sheikh summit could mark a turning point if the proposed deal is signed, potentially paving the way for post-war reconstruction and renewed diplomatic engagement across the West Asia region. Dheeraj Das's report for DD India.
Now, this is indeed a day for relief and joy, not just for Israelis, but for many people in the world, almost all nations in the world. A major conflict is coming to a rest, but will this sustain? Will it become a long-term? That's one lingering question that everyone has as well. Now, Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj, School of International Studies of the Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi, is with us to answer that very question. What do you feel, Professor?
No, that's a very, very important question. That is peace without justice is sustainable? The problem, the issue is that has the Gaza and the Palestinian issue is resolved? I'm still wondering, because Hamas people, they are not participating in this summit. Israel, there is doubtful that they are participating. But certainly, I can say that it is a victory of the humanity that the people who had been hostages for last 2 years, now they are going to be released by Hamas people, and in the same manner that Israel will also release the Palestinian people, around 2,000 people. So definitely there are a good initiative, good beginning, and this would be a landmark agreement in Middle East that would trying to lead the world towards the peace. Again, one more very important question: is the issue of terrorism resolved? That while the act of Hamas was the terrorist attack, and they have killed the innocent people in Israel, is the Americans, that Turkish and the Pakistani people, they are understanding the pain of terrorism that the entire other world are also facing. So I think in this summit that issue is also very significant, where Israeli people, they have suffered from terrorism, and India is also suffering from the terrorism. They should also take this very seriously, and I think in this agreement, in this peace process, this issue also should be addressed very seriously. Now it comes that whether the Hamas people are going to be disarmed themselves, are they going to leave Palestine or Gaza for the stability or peace in this region? Are they going to accept the Palestinian authorities' rule for the future of the Gaza? These are very important, very significant questions still need to be resolved. One more thing, that of course that Israel is now, they are withdrawing their forces and they are obeying the ceasefire. The international forces, how they will make the sustainable peace and will add to the humanitarian concerns that has been raised, because now entire Gaza Strip is ruined by 2 years of war between the Hamas and the Israeli. So I'm looking forward that all the stakeholders, they are involved in the conflict, either from the Middle East or from the Israel. They should build a trust, because that is most important aspects. If there will be trust deficit among these parties, then there would be no sustainable peace. Now, one more thing: whether the other proxies or other states who had been supporting Hamas against the Israel war are satisfied with this peace process that Donald Trump and the other 20 countries are leading towards this. There I count Iran and that Houthis and Hezbollah. They are maybe not now very active in this, but tomorrow they can support again the Hamas people to do the further any other violent act that they have done 2 years back. So there are still some concerns, but I'm sure the initiatives by the 20 countries, and particularly that the European Union and other institutions, they are endorsing. I'm sure that this would bring a peace in this Middle East, entire Middle East, and particularly in Gaza Strip, that would lead to the better life of the people that
Right.
they have.
Now, one more thing, Professor, which is undeniable, is that this is a huge moment of triumph for Donald Trump. And he's, I'm sure, there to take credit for it. And he has very clearly declared, not just once, but at least twice, that the war is over. And he'll have to make sure that the war remains over, which is going to be perhaps an even more Herculean task than it was to getting these two parties to agree to do what they've done so far, which is cease hostilities and the release of the hostages, and agreeing to, we'll see the release of prisoners and detainees as well from the Israeli side.
No, definitely. If you see that immediate gain, of course they are releasing hostages, and that is a victory for not only for the Americans or for the Israelis, but the victory of the humanities. When the hostage has been released, they have been suffering. But the most important point, that what is the institutional memory of the Americans? That why Americans, they have been silently supporting Israel while there were demands for the two nations in Middle East, in Palestine, and that has not been recognized for a long. Still, the Americans, they have to recognize Palestine. The other countries, I give the credit to the like France, like Canada, like number of the countries, they have recognized recently Palestine as an independent state. So they are believing in two-nation theory. That India is also endorsed that two-nation theory, and India also believe a sustainable peace in this region. But Americans, I don't know how much Trump and the institutions will sustain these peace efforts to bring and to help the Gaza people there who had been displaced, the Palestinians who had been displaced over the years. So that is a big question, but I'm sure that the Hamas will not also do any violent act that they have done. That also need to be ensured by the Trump administration as well as the other countries they are involved. But of course, I appreciate that the Trump he wanted to resolve this issue by peaceful manner. He also wanted to resolve the issue between Ukraine and Russia in the peaceful manner. But the Americans, they have larger geostrategic interests. They prioritize sometimes on the values, the goals. And in the goals, they compromise with the democracy, human rights, and other issues. So I'm sure that Donald Trump and the American institutions will not compromise if they have any strategic interest in the Middle East.
And
So
what do you expect to emerge out of Sharm el Sheikh? We will, of course, perhaps hear more about the Board of Peace as to who all will be its constituents. And it seems it will tell us whether still Donald Trump looks at Gaza as a piece of real estate and how it should be sort of divided up between all those who will preside over its future for the coming few months and years, for the foreseeable future, really. Is that something that we will get to know from Sharm el Sheikh, the summit, the Gaza summit that's set to be held there?
No, definitely this will be a landmark summit that particularly while keeping the Middle East that has been disturbed for last more than 7 decades that we have seen after 1950s. I'm looking forward that whether Donald Trump and other states from the European countries and from the Middle East, they will take it very seriously, and they will looking forward for a sustainable peace in this region. But my bigger question, it comes whether the peace without justice is sustainable. Is that justice has been delivered in Middle East on both the sides, where the Israel had been suffering from the terrorism, and that the Palestinians, they have been suffering from the statelessness or homelessness. So I'm sure that unless until you will not have a trust building efforts, unless until you will not involve the international institutions to take care of the people's well-being in this region, that the peace could not be sustainable. So I'm sure that the efforts that it has been done in this summit will take the things seriously, and they are looking forward to have a sustainable peace in this region, and they will address the concerns of the both sides of the people, and they will ensure the peace on Israel and Palestine border.
Well, I don't know, Justice, if you see justice as peace and reconciliation and some sort of peace process where people who have committed wrongs in the past are persecuted, brought to book as well. I don't know if that will happen or not, because right now the talk is about amnesty, and in terms of the Hamas ceasing to exist in a practical sense, that is what perhaps Israel will be deriving satisfaction from. Beyond that, I don't see to what extent peace and reconciliation and justice will happen. But let's see what happens next as far as Sharm el Sheikh is concerned, and with these engagements that are taking place for Donald Trump and others in that region. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment.
And let me add one point here, that that the entire world, even in the Ukraine and Russia issues, and on this Middle East conflict, Israel-Hamas conflict, the world was divided in between two. One was the peace camp, one was the justice camp. The peace camp, they were looking ceasefire, and yes, I'm sure in this issue, the peace camp has a victory. That definitely a peace has been restored, and now there is exchange of hostages, And I think that is the larger issues, that the humanity has been suffered a lot from both the sides, and now they are coming with the ceasefire. The victory of the peace camp is there, but I'm still wondering whether this would sustain, this would satisfy the justice camp. They are looking two nations states resolutions. They are also looking that
I
for
got your
entire
point. I got your
community
point. I got your point. But let's see in which way things progress from this point. Thanks a lot for joining us, Professor. Now, French President Emmanuel Macron has unveiled a new government on Sunday after marathon talks to cobble together a cabinet with most top jobs remaining unchanged. Le Cornu, who was reappointed Prime Minister last week, had pledged to deliver a cabinet of renewal and diversity, but stuck with his previous picks for most of the choice jobs. Sébastien Lecornu reappointed Roland Lescure as a close ally of President Emmanuel Macron as finance minister. Lecornu also kept Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot and Justice Minister Gérald Darmanin in their posts. The most notable change to the ministerial picks was incoming Interior Minister Laurent Nunez, who replaces Bruno Ratailleux, leader of the Conservative Republicans Party. The new team must present a 2026 draft budget before a Tuesday deadline, giving Parliament the constitutionally required 70 days to scrutinize the plan before the year's end. The hard-left France has said it will file a motion of no confidence on Monday, as did the far-right National Rally. Meanwhile, the Socialists are keeping their options open. Now, a shooting incident in the U.S. has left 4 people dead and at least 20 injured at a restaurant in a South Carolina island town on Sunday. The incident was being investigated when the reports last came in, but no further details have been provided. The office declined to release the names of those killed pending notification of family members. The sheriff's office said hundreds of people were there at the time of the shooting. Mass shootings, which the Gun Violence Archive defines as incidents where 4 or more people are shot, have become more common in the U.S. in the past decade. Americans are largely divided along political lines regarding possible policy solutions, with Democrats favoring more gun restrictions and Republicans backing gun rights and better enforcement of laws against violent crimes. New Peruvian President José Jerry has confronted his first protest on Sunday by engaging in dialogue with Aldo Marinos, a local mayor who had marched for days to capital Lima to demand more attention for his region. Marinos, the mayor of Pataz, a small town, started a march to the capital on the 25th of August to protest the lack of investment in the La Libertad region. Upon reaching Lima, Marinos was welcomed by Jerry at the government palace, while a crowd of supporters and protesters, including Gen Z members, demonstrated against the new administration. Madagascar's presidency has said that President André Rajoelina will address the nation on Monday evening. President André has warned on Sunday of an attempted power grab as soldiers increasingly align themselves with demonstrators in a movement that has shaken the country since protests began on the 25th of last month. On Monday, officers supporting youth protesters have taken control of the parliamentary gendarmerie in Madagascar in the presence of senior government officials. Clashes also intensified Sunday in Quito as Ecuador marked 21 days of a nationwide strike against President Daniel Noboa, coinciding with the Day of Resistance March. Tensions flared when protesters heading towards El Arbolito Park were met with tear gas, forcing them to reroute. The march, held by indigenous groups, commemorates the Day of Resistance, observed in place of the Day of the Race, and officially recognized by the government as the Day of Interculturality and Plurinationality. Protests began in mid-September after Noboa removed diesel subsidies. Demonstrations have since grown, prompting a 60-day state of emergency in 10 of Ecuador's 24 provinces as of the 5th of October. At least 1 person has died and several others have been injured during the unrest. The Nobel Prize for Economics honors groundbreaking contributions which have shaped how we understand markets, behavior and policy. Established in 1968 by Sweden's central bank for its 300th anniversary, the award recognizes pioneers in fields ranging from game theory and behavioral economics to poverty alleviation and financial stability. Though not part of Alfred Nobel's original will, it stands alongside the other Nobel Prizes as one of the most prestigious honors in the world of ideas. More in this report.
The Nobel Prize in Economics, officially the Svea Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences, was created in 1968 by Sweden's central bank. Though not part of Alfred Nobel's original will, it's awarded with the other Nobel Prizes and widely recognized as one. The prize honors major advances in economics, spanning theory like game theory, empirical research such as poverty and labor, and impactful policy innovations. The former US Federal Reserve Chair, Ben Bernanke, won the award in 2022 for policy.
From 2006 to 2014, I was involved in a global financial crisis where the problems in the financial sector caused tremendous problems in the real economy, both here and around the world. And this, and thinking about these issues made me very determined to do everything I could, along with my other policymakers, my colleagues, to try to prevent the financial system from melting down.
Though called the Nobel Prize for Economics, many winners weren't economists. Daniel Kahneman, 2002, was a psychologist. Elinor Ostrom, 2009, a political scientist. And John Nash, 1994, a mathematician known for game theory. Joseph Stiglitz, an economist, won the prize in 2001 for extending our understanding of economic measures in society.
Well, GDP was originally created as a measure of market economic activity, but has increasingly become used as a measure of societal well-being. It wasn't designed for that, and it doesn't measure that. And changes in the structure of our economy have, and our society, have made it increasingly poor as an indicator of societal well-being.
Amartya Sen, the only Indian citizen to win the Economics Nobel in 1998, was honored for work on poverty and social choice. Indian-born American Abhijit Banerjee won in 2019 for his experimental approach to fighting global poverty. They joined some of the most influential economists in history to receive the Nobel Prize in Economics. Milton Friedman in 1976, Sir John Hicks 1972, Paul Samuelson 1970, and Robert Solow 1987. Bureau Report, DD India.
The Economics Nobel is set to be announced later today. Now let's take a look at some other stories making news around the world as well. A global report by 160 scientists warns that the world's tropical coral reefs have likely passed the point of no return due to rising ocean temperatures. Over 80% of reefs are suffering record bleaching as global warming has hit 1.4 degrees Celsius. Scientists say most reefs would perish at a warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, a threshold just years away. While glaciers in Greenland, the Alps and the Himalayas are melting, some large Central Asian ice fields like the Pamir in eastern Tajikistan have remained stable or even grown. To investigate this surprising trend, scientists travel to the region to drill deep ice cores. These cores hold vital clues about climate change and regional glacier dynamics. Over 10,000 migratory birds have arrived in Nanji Wetland Reserve in Nanchang, Shaanxi in China, marking a seasonal peak along the East Asian Australasian Flyway. Improved conditions after a 220 fishing ban have attracted species like white-fronted geese and green-winged teals. Hebei Hingxi Lake in China has reached a major milestone in its captive breeding and rewilding efforts for the endangered bear's pochard, a rare species of diving duck. Researchers have successfully established the world's first stable, naturally breeding population of this duck for its conservation. And still to come on DD India News Hour. PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan completes 4 years. And Indian monks take sacred Buddha relics to Russia's Kalmykia, boosting cultural and bilateral ties.
There's so many invaluable artifacts that the British have taken from our country. They robbed us of our self-respect. They robbed us of our honor. Loot was never innocent. It was painful.
The word loot, that was stolen from India too.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. And before we go any further, another look at our top stories. A much-awaited day arrives with much relief and joy as peace returns to Gaza. Israel says the Hamas has returned all 20 surviving hostages. Donald Trump will be in Egypt as well, where he'll attend the Gaza summit along with 20 other world leaders. Minister of State for External Affairs Kirti V Singh is representing India at the talks. Gaza stabilization and reconstruction are on the agenda. In Canada's Foreign Minister Anita Anand meets her Indian counterpart Dr. S. Shankar in Delhi during her India visit. The two leaders pledged to build upon extensive ties ranging from trade to tech. Canadian Foreign Minister Anita Anand has met India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar to discuss a joint roadmap for stronger cooperation. Talks are aimed at setting up a framework for bilateral strategic cooperation in areas of trade, energy and security transition as well as security.
Both sides for our meeting today have prepared an ambitious roadmap to advance our cooperation in various domains including trade, investment, agriculture, science and technology, civil nuclear collaboration, AI, critical minerals and energy. I'm glad that the two High Commissioners have assumed their responsibilities in our respective capitals and are part of today's meeting. India-Canada bilateral relations have been steadily progressing in the last few months. We are working to restore and reinvigorate the mechanisms necessary to advance our partnership. As Prime Minister Modi noted during his meeting with Prime Minister Carney in Kananaskis, India's approach is to move forward with a positive mindset. This morning, you have met the Prime Minister. You have heard from him personally about our vision of cooperation and how best to realize it.
Now, President of Mongolia, Khurelsukh-na, will be beginning his 4-day state visit to India starting today. During the visit, President Murmu will meet with her Mongolian counterpart and host a banquet in his honor. President Khurelsukh-na will hold talks with Prime Minister Modi as well and review the entire gamut of bilateral relations. Diplomatic relations between India and Mongolia were established in 1955. Over the past 7 decades, the two countries have developed a close and multifaceted partnership anchored in shared cultural and spiritual links and democratic values. This is the President's first visit to India in his capacity as the head of state of Mongolia. Let's get you more on this key visit. We go across live to DD India Siddharth Bharadwaj for that. Hi Siddharth, now what more can you tell us about the agenda of this visit?
Hi Gautam, first of all a very good afternoon to you. You know, if you look at a broader picture of this state visit by the Mongolian president, then we can certainly say that this visit will boost the bilateral relations between both the countries, will add a fillip to the bilateral ties between both the countries. We know that the Mongolian president Khurelsukh Ukna is paying state visit to India at the invitation of the Honorable President of India, Draupadi Murmu. And he's coming with a high-level delegation which comprises of cabinet members, the member of parliaments, cultural representatives and other delegates as well, Gautam. So with such a high-level delegation, we expect talks, to cover various sectors, including health and education among various sectors when it comes to the bilateral ties between both the nations. He will be meeting the President of India, who will be hosting a banquet in his honor, and then President of Mongolia will be meeting Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, and both the leaders will discuss the entire gamut of bilateral relations. When I talk about the relations between both the countries, as you've also told our viewers, that the diplomatic relations between both the countries were established in 1955, and over past 7 decades, both the countries have developed a relation which is close and multifaceted, and also spans in sectors like defense, health, mining, parliamentary exchanges, among others. And it also gives an opportunity to both the leaders, Gautam, to review the progress in bilateral ties and also, exchange views on issues of global and regional issues. So in that manner, this is a very significant visit by the Mongolian president, which will elevate the bilateral ties, and both the leaders will also focus on some areas, and this will certainly give an opportunity to both the leaders. So in that manner, Gautam, it's a very, very significant visit by the Mongolian president.
Well, certainly, Siddhartha. And what is Mongolia's strategic significance for India, and what are the two countries looking to gain from each other by enhancing their mutual cooperation?
Well, that's a very nice question, Gautam, and which pops up another question, that why Mongolia matters, and there are various reasons to it. Number one is that Mongolia supports India's position when it comes to multilateral fora, and in return, India also supports Mongolia when it comes to its regional and strategic initiatives. So this mutual backing, Gautam, adds a weight to the diplomatic ties between both the countries. Apart from that, in this era when India is very close to becoming the third largest economy in the world, there are various demands, and one of the most important demands is of energy security, which India is looking at. India is looking to diversify its energy security, and Mongolia somewhere play a pivotal role in that, because Mongolia is rich in natural resources, rare earth, copper, which is very crucial. However, India is transitioning towards clean and green energy, but still the need of the hour is the strengthening of the energy security. Apart from that, Gautam, when it comes to the cultural ties between both the countries, then they go beyond the defense and trade ties, because that especially goes via Buddhism. So, and this strengthening of cultural ties between both the countries is, on the other hand, strengthening the soft diplomacy, people-to-people ties, cultural cooperation, cultural exchanges. Apart from that, when I talk about the defense ties between both the countries at the military level, then both the countries hold this joint military exercise called Nomadic Elephant every year. So all in all, we can say that the ties between both the countries will be boosted with this visit by the Mongolian president. Also, Gautam, when I talk about the bilateral trade, it currently stands at somewhere around $110 billion, which is expected to grow in the coming future. And also, when I talk about the Indian community in Mongolia, Gautam, it's short as of now, but then the sentiments are very, very strong, and some of them work with the organized sector, and some are self-employed. So the sentiments are high, and this is a really, really significant visit by the Mongolian president, which will certainly boost the bilateral ties between both the countries. And also, both the leaders, when I talk about the Mongolian president and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, they will focus on various areas and also review the progress in bilateral ties between both the countries. Gautam.
Certainly. Thanks, Siddharth. Let's hope that the strategic ties that India and Mongolia share, it's a strategic partnership, that the relationship is already at right now in terms of its status. It gets a further fillip with this visit as well. Thanks a lot for joining us. Now, in an event of profound spiritual and cultural significance, the holy relics of Lord Buddha were formally enshrined in Kalmykia marking the first ever exposition of these sacred artifacts in the Russian Republic. The day was graced with the opening of 3 unique exhibitions by Uttar Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister Keshav Prasad Maurya and Head of the Republic of Kalmykia in Elista, Batu Khasikov. The exposition symbolizes the deep-rooted spiritual connection between India and Russia. Head of the Republic of Kalmykia, along with his ministers, met the Indian delegation. In the meeting, both the sides agreed to strengthen bilateral relations, people-to-people connect, and open new areas of cooperation. The UP Deputy CM also visited Buddhist Park in Elista and assured the governor of Kalmykia that India will provide a Buddha statue and contribute providing its construction material. The initiative aims to promote deeper awareness of Indian culture among Russians. Now, over the past decade, India has witnessed an unprecedented scale of infrastructure development driven by a holistic and integrated approach. Major national initiatives like PM Gati Shakti have collectively shaped the vision of a connected and competitive India. From record expansions in highways and expressways to electrification of railways, greenfield airports, the scheme has contributed in sustainable development aligned with the goal of Viksit Bharat or developed India by 2047.
It has been 4 years since Gati Shakti was implemented. The Modi government launched an ambitious platform, Gati Shakti, on October 13, 2021 to achieve faster speed and scale in infrastructure development. This digital platform brought together 16 central government ministries. This marked a major step towards better coordination between various ministries during multi-modal connectivity projects and the development of a comprehensive and holistic project strategy. The impact of Gati Shakti is clearly visible on all infrastructure projects, whether it's Sagarmala or Bharatmala. There is now better coordination between departments and ministries, and projects are being completed with a clear and comprehensive policy.
सेंस ऑफ अर्जेंसी सभी मंत्रालयों में भी और राज्य सरकारों में आया इसके कारण और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की स्पीड काफ़ी बढ़ गई.
After the launch of Gati Shakti, bottlenecks in infrastructure development were reduced. Timely project completion led to reduced cost overruns. Public inconveniences during project construction have also been reduced.
एक सड़क बजट खर्च हो रहा है, काम खत्म नहीं हो रहा है. ये मैंने सिर्फ एक उदाहरण दिया क्योंकि आपने अपनी आंखों से देखा है. और इसलिए होता है कि सरकारी विभागों का एक दूसरे के साथ न तो संवाद होता है और न ही जानकारियों का कोई तालमेल. सब अपनी अपनी दुनिया बनाकर उसमें बैठे हुए हैं. हर एक के पास रिपोर्ट कार्ड है कि मैंने इतनी सड़क बना दी, कोई कहे कि मैंने इतने तार डाल दिए, कोई कहे मैंने इतनी पाइप डाल दी, लेकिन परिणाम वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस. इन साइलोज को तोड़ने के लिए अब हमने पीएम गति शक्ति नेशनल मास्टर प्लान बनाया है. चारों तरफ उसकी तारीफ हो रही है.
Gati Shakti has significantly strengthened Modi government's vision of ease of living and ease of doing business. Now, whether it's the transportation of goods, people or services, all are completed at a fast, uninterrupted pace. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's largest school hackathon, Viksit Bharat Buildathon 2025, was held on Monday. Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan inaugurated the program. He said a prosperous and self-reliant India will be built on the strong foundation of technology.
आज हम समृद्ध भारत बनाने के लिए, आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने के लिए टेक्नोलॉजी के आधार पे 21वीं सदी ज्ञान आधारित सदी है. 21st century is a knowledge-based century, and India is going to lead this knowledge-based century and economy. All my congratulations to all my young students, all my colleagues. आप निश्चित रूप में वैश्विक समाधान लेके आओगे. फिर मैं दोहराऊंगा, भर लो उड़ान, छू लो आसमान.
Now, the 41st Railway Protection Force Raising Day Parade was held at the RPF Zonal Training Centre in Gujarat on Monday. India's Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav participated in the event and saluted the indomitable spirit, valour and the dedication of the RPF. Addressing the event, the Minister praised the dedication of the entire railway family in serving the public with discipline, inspired by Prime Minister Modi's emphasis on citizen-centric service. India's Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav will attend the pre-COP meeting in Brasilia, that is pre-COP meeting in Brasilia, on the 13th and 14th of this month. Over the next 2 days, the platform will provide an opportunity for countries to build consensus on the issues critical for the success of COP30. Bhupendra Yadav, in a social media post, said that he looks forward to meaningful discussions and productive conversations in Brazil. The 2-day pre-COP brings together environment and climate ministers, senior negotiators and observers to narrow differences on politically sensitive topics and to try and build ministerial consensus ahead of the UN Climate Conference. The UN Climate Conference COP30 will be held in Belém, Brazil in November. A rapidly warming planet means more frequent and devastating disasters. This International Day of Disaster Risk Reduction, the UN has urged nations to fund resilience, not disasters. With the launch of infrastructure for resilient island states at COP26, India is leading global efforts to build a safer, disaster-ready future. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya has this report.
A rapidly warming planet threatens every form of life on Earth. Disasters, once rare, are now more frequent, more destructive, and far more expensive. Direct costs already touch $200 billion a year, but the true impact, according to the Global Assessment Report 2025, is nearly $2.3 trillion annually. Yet investment in disaster risk reduction remains alarmingly low. That's why this year's International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, observed on October 13th, carries the theme Fund Resilience, Not Disasters.
I think it is an imperative to develop strategies for preparedness, for enhancing climate resilience, for enhancing disaster resilience, as well as for ensuring that we receive early warnings for extreme weather events ahead of time.
The Sendai framework adopted by the UN provides the global roadmap for reducing risk and building resilience. India too has faced its share of calamities, from the Kerala floods to the Gujarat cyclone, but science, technology and community preparedness have helped reduce their impact.
A coalition of 60 countries and international organizations, we are working with governments, organizations and the private sector to develop infrastructure that can withstand current and future challenges.
With initiatives like the Infrastructure for Resilient Island States, India is driving a global call for resilience and cooperation. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. India and Australia begin 4th edition of joint military exercise Austrohind in Perth.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now let's talk about sports. And opener John Campbell hit his maiden Test century as West Indies fought back against India on day 4 of the second and final test in Delhi on Monday. West Indies were 361 runs with a loss of 9 wickets at tea, taking a lead of 91 runs in their second innings. Campbell is the first West Indies opener to score 100 in tests since March 2023. He made 115 before he was trapped leg before wicket by Ravindra Jadeja to end a 177-run third wicket stand with Shai Hope, who was on 92 at the break. West Indies were made to follow on after being bowled out for 248 in their first innings. India had declared their innings at 518 for the loss of 5 wickets. Indians are favourites to sweep the two-match series after they won the first test. Let me now take you across to DD India's Narayan Singh for more on this. Narayan, first of all, good afternoon. And now could you tell us what went wrong after India gave the Windies a follow-on? By now, it seemed that they would have the match in their bag, but things haven't really worked out to that plan.
Gautam, as you mentioned, a correct point here regarding that what went wrong after giving the follow-on. Actually, India should not went to enforce the follow-on to West Indies, because already our bowlers had bowled a lot of overs, and again coming to bowl, it's we can say that's a big toll on the bowlers, and that's why we saw West Indies was able to stretch their inning too long. Our bowlers were looking tired, and that's why we saw the way John Campbell and the way Shai Hope scoring the centuries and a big partnership for the West Indies and putting the West Indies back on the track. But from the other aspect of the Test cricket, if you take a look, it is good for the cricket, it is good for the West Indies cricket, because we know that the kind of Test cricket, the red ball cricket, particularly the West Indies team is playing in the past few years, questions are coming out from the different corners regarding the decline of the West Indies cricket, the way they perform. If you take a look at the past year, pink ball test where they were bundled out for 27 runs against Australia. So there were, we can say that, big worries about the West Indies cricket team. But yesterday and today, the kind of inning they played, definitely it will bring a ray of hope for the West Indies cricket, because we know that they were the veterans of the game. The West Indies cricket team has a legacy. We know that in 70s and 80s they dominated the world cricket. So that West Indies cricket was dying. But definitely I think that inning, the way Shai Hope and the way their opener John Campbell played today and yesterday, definitely it has, we can say that, give a glimpse of the past West Indies team, and it will also help them to go ahead and take their Test cricket forward. Because Gautam, actually now what happens in cricket, if any teams, if you take a look in the world, if they are playing the red ball cricket good, they are good in other formats also, whether it's ODI, whether it's T20. If you take a look, India, England, South Africa, all the teams, they are playing good Test cricket. But if you take a look at the West Indies side, definitely the crisis is in their West Indies cricket board. Their board, we are struggling with the financial crisis, and that's why the players of the West Indies are switching to the shorter formats of the game. If we take a look at the T20 franchisee league, everywhere in the world, West Indies cricketers are in demand, and that's why there is a cause of decline. But other way, India is, we can say that, eyeing a victory in this Test match too, whether it will be today or tomorrow.
Only the inevitable has been delayed, Narayan. That's what this fight back from the West Indies has done in the second innings. But let's now talk about what lies ahead, apart from this 2-0 victory that India will definitely attain, because up next will be a formidable contest against Australia as an ODI series.
Definitely. We know that Australia, the veterans of the game, if you take a look, the most number of World Cups won by Australian is Australia. And that weekend, Australia's tour will definitely test the strength of the new Indian team under the captainship of Shubman Gill. Now, as you know that Shubman Gill is the captain in the Test as well as the captain of the ODI team. He's also the vice captain of the T20 format. So the board is trying to bring a one captain for the all formats of the game. And definitely we are hoping that this will actually test the Indian skills. And next year there is a World Cup, ODI World Cup. And before that, the Indian management want to settle down for the things. And they want that Indian team get a settled captain before that. And hoping that India will definitely as we know that Virat and Rohit are also in the squad. So it remains to be seen they will be there in the World Cup or not. It's we can say that future course.
Right, right. So a totally different ODI team India will also have compared to the one that we have for these two tests against the West Indies, and that will have its own share of dynamics to be looked at with a lot of interest. Narayan, I'm sure you'll do that for us. Thanks a lot for joining us for the time being. Now, defending champions Australia chased down a mammoth 331 runs to beat India by 3 wickets in a pulsating Women's World Cup clash in Visakhapatnam. It was the highest successful run chase in the history of women's one-day internationals. Earlier, India's openers Pratika Rawal and Smriti Mandhana had set the stage alight, adding 155 runs of 24.3 overs in a rollicking start. India piled up their highest ever World Cup total of 330 all out. In reply, the Australian skipper Alyssa Healy unleashed a stunning exhibition of stroke play, cracking 142 of 107 balls. After her dismissal, Australia wobbled briefly, losing a couple of quick wickets, but with the required rate under control, panic never set in. The ever-reliant Elise Perry held the lower order together and sealed the win. New Zealand batter Kane Williamson will miss the home T20 series against England later this month due to injury. Coach Rob Walter said Williamson had to overcome a minor medical issue, and they both agreed that he needed some more time to get himself physically fit. Pace bowler Ben Sears will also miss the series after suffering a hamstring tear in training last week. Spinner Mitch Santner returned to the squad after surgery. Also back is all-rounder Rachin Ravindra, who missed the Australia series with a facial injury. The matches are scheduled for the 18th, 20th and 23rd of October. They also play a 3-match one-day international series in late October and early November. Mohammad Kudus scored as Ghana beat Comoros 1-0 in Accra to become the 5th African nation to qualify for the 2026 World Cup after Algeria, Egypt, Morocco and Tunisia. Ghana dominated first half possession and territory, but slow, predictable attacks meant Comoros' goalkeeper was seldom troubled. However, the home side wasted little time after the interval in taking the lead as Kudus struck in the 47th minute. Success against Comoros was particularly sweet as the Indian Ocean Islanders shocked Ghana at the 2022 Africa Cup of Nations and beat them again in the second round of World Cup qualifying 2 years ago. Ghana topped the group with 25 points from 10 matches. Madagascar finished second with 19 points. It will be the 5th appearance by the Black Stars in the global showpiece. Their best performance was in 2010 in South Africa, where they lost to Uruguay after a quarterfinals penalty shootout. The 4th edition of the joint bilateral military exercise Austro-Hind between India and Australia begins at the Airman Barracks in Australia's Perth. An Indian Army contingent comprising 120 personnel will participate in the 14-day exercise. Now, this exercise aims to further strengthen the operational capabilities of both the armies in undertaking joint company-level operations in urban and semi-urban terrain under the United Nations mandate, reflecting the shared commitment towards global peace and security. With over hundreds of troops from both sides, exercise will focus on joint company-level operations in open and semi-desert terrain, wherein troops will undertake missions ranging from joint planning, tactical drills and special arms skills. It will offer a valuable opportunity to hone operational capabilities, integrate emerging technologies and operate jointly in a combat environment. And still to come, indeed, India News Hour. It's an extended edition as we get you all the latest updates and an in-depth analysis of the ongoing situation in West Asia related to the Gaza conflict.